Alright, so this is going to be just a little introduction overview to Google Docs. So, down in my tray next to my Safari, you see this blue and white icon. We're going to click on that, and this is Google Docs. You can see at the very top in the center says Google Docs. Down here in the bottom right hand corner is a rainbow plus sign in a circle. Click on that, and then you see we have two choices: choose template or a new document. Now we might later in the grading period, we may have time to jump into the choose templates, but most of the time we'll always do a new document. So click on new document. And this is really, really important. When you get this little dialog box that pops up, it says new document. Please enter a name for your new document. Now before you put anything in there, we need to think about this. You're going to have a million docs in your Google Drive. And if you are smart about how you name your documents, it'll make it really a lot easier to find a document later. So, anytime you name any file, it needs to have two parts to it. The first part is whose file is this? And the second part is what is it? So the first part, always put your last name, space, and then the second part, put what this is, or what it's about, or what assignment is it. Well, this isn't actually an assignment for me. This is just an overview. So I'm just going to name mine Overview. You wouldn't name yours Fletcher Overview unless you were named Fletcher and you were making an overview. Okay, if you were making a document about your dog, you would name it your last name, my dog, or something like that. And then click on create. So now you see we basically have a piece of paper. And let's talk about some of the things we see. So the first thing we see is a blue check mark in the top left-hand corner, and it has our file name, Fletcher Overview. All right, great. Go to the right-hand corner. You see 5 buttons. There's an arrow going backwards, like going backwards in time. That is how you undo what you just did. The last thing you did or clicked on, if you decide, oh, I didn't want to do that, you click that backward arrow to undo it. Now, the next one is redo. So if you need to do again, or you need to, oh, I undid it, but I really did want to do that, so you would click on the arrow going to the right. The plus sign is your insert. So if we need to insert something into our document, you would click on that, and you can see we could insert a link, an image, a comment, but we haven't done anything yet, an image, a table, a horizontal line, a page break, a page number, a footnote, bookmark, a table of contents. Okay, so the plus sign is insert. Now this A with the lines behind it, that's format. And we don't have a lot of things to format just yet, but you'll see we could format text, or we could format our paragraph. We don't have either of those just yet, but text means letters. So after you have typed something, all the things that you just typed, that is text. Okay, a paragraph, you know what a paragraph is. So we'll come back to the text in a little bit. Okay, and then the 3 dots in all of the Google apps that you're going to use, the 3 dots always means more. This isn't going to be real helpful for you in what we're going to do, but this is more. Sometimes down here under share and export, sometimes you may need that, or maybe the explore, but probably not. So go ahead and click off of that. All right. Now you see, let's jump down to our cursor, which is our blinking line. Blinky's name is Cursor. Sometimes I call him Blinky. The purpose of the blinking line, which is the cursor, is to show you where you are on the paper. So if I start typing, I need to know where it's going to go. It's going to go right there where the cursor is. If I inserted a picture, it's going to go wherever the cursor is. Okay? So your cursor always tells you where you are on the paper. Okay? So I'm just going to start typing. Remember, we always have to use capital letters and punctuation, and we'll do a big thing on how to type and how to get capital letters and punctuation. So I'm just going to say my 2 dogs, comma, Bailey and Boaz, comma, are the greatest dogs, although I call them puppies, in the world. Because I really think that. You may think that about your dogs. Okay, so now I have text. So now, if I wanted to click on Bailey, notice I selected that. I can do some formatting here, cut, copy, paste, add comment, insert link. I could go over here to my format and I could change the font and I could change the size of that and I could change the text color of that, and we will get to all of this in our assignments. But I'm just showing you this to show you that the words are text. Okay? Now also, you can click on, there's this toolbar at the top here. So the B over here on the left is bold. See how it just made the word that I had selected, it made it thick? I'll turn it off. So there it's not bold. There it is bold. And then I can make it italics, which means slant it, underline, and I can strike through it, although I'm going to undo that because I think that's weird to do that. And then this A with the color underneath it, that's your text color. So remember, text is the letters and the text color. So this is going to change, this is another way to change the color of the text. So it's going to be green. Okay, see that? That's kind of hard to see. Now the next one is a marker, a highlighter. So if I wanted to select the area around the word R, I did that by accident. That would be this highlighter right here. Okay, so you could highlight around it. So a lot of times people confuse the text color and the highlighter. Okay, so now the next three buttons, those are alignment buttons, how it's lined up. Okay, and most of the time we line things up on the left-hand side, how it's showing that it is now. If you wanted this sentence to be smack dab in the middle of your paper, you would center align it. See that? So that is left align. So it's on the left side of the paper. This is a right, or sorry, center align, and this one is the right align. Okay, the rest of these buttons we'll eventually get to, but this is an overview. So this is just getting our feet wet, figuring out what Google Docs is about. Google Docs stands for documents. DOCS stands for documents. Okay, you use Google Docs if you're going to primarily be writing words. Okay, if you're going to be drawing pictures, don't use Google Docs. There's better apps. You got to use the right tool for the job. So if we're going to use Google Docs, that's because the job that we're going to do primarily uses a lot of words or a table and some words. So that's why we would be using Google Docs. Most of your reports that you're going to write for your classrooms are going to be in Google Docs. Now, Google Docs is made by Google. You've heard of Google. Google makes a search engine. Google makes Google Classroom. Google is an enormous company that they do lots of things. Google made this software for Docs. Okay? There's a very similar software program that does very similar things called Word. That's made by a different company. That's made by Microsoft, Bill Gates. Okay? If you are learning how to use Google Docs, you'll pretty much be learning Microsoft Word also. In fact, they're not exactly the same, but they're close. Okay? So just so that you kind of are being able to put in your mind what is Google Docs and how does it relate to everything else, Google Docs is used for words, if you're primarily using words for your project, and it's very similar to Microsoft's software that is called Word. If I ever make a mistake and I say, okay, well, in our Word document, I don't mean that, I mean our Google Docs document. We used to use Word, but then Google Docs came out, and Google Docs is free. Okay? Also, Google Docs saves automatically. So with every change that you make, so when I made the word R be red, it automatically saved it. Microsoft Word does not do that. That's one of the differences. So if you're typing along and you're on page 10 of your term paper and something happens and your computer crashes, it's okay because it's saved in your Google Drive. Your Google Drive is like a file cabinet inside your computer, and we'll go over all of that if that just blew your mind and made it all confusing, that's okay. So this is Google Docs, and that's what our primary software that we'll be using in 4th grade.